Welcome to Conversations at the Cutting Edge of Technology, the series where we speak to leaders at the forefront of innovative industries. Today we're talking radio frequency identification, a pivotal technology for industries like supply chain, retail, manufacturing, and healthcare, to name just a few. Today I'm joined by Daria and Kelly, who have a combined 26 years experience in the RFID market, across talent acquisition and marketing respectively. So if you could please introduce yourselves and we'll get going.
Hi, I'm Kelly Stark. I'm the founder of Ford Vision Marketing, and we're a marketing agency focused on technology. We actually have a large range of RFID clients because I came from the RFID industry over 20 years ago at Texas Instruments. And we supply everything from strategy, web PR, SEO, advertising, full service to our clients. And I think our hashtag and what we specialize is we speak tech because we really understand the technology.
My name is Daria. I lead the supply chain and RFID Auto ID team at Gillespie Manners, which is global executive search firm specializing in different areas of technology verticals. My journey in RFID space have started just over 8 years ago. And I basically started from absolute scratch. I didn't know anybody in the industry. I had no contacts, no network. And I didn't have a fully kind of comprehensive understanding of what the technology actually is about, how that works, and how it enables businesses to do better. So what has happened is that I started building my networks. I started going to lots of different events and conferences globally across EMEA, APAC, North American regions. And through building those contacts, I started building really good relationships, which essentially resulted in working with those companies further down the line. As part of this journey, what I also noticed is the value that a community or being a part of the organization brings to the table. So it was a very conscious decision to join RFID Alliance group a couple of years ago, which has been super helpful in terms of getting further outreach to the companies and players within the industries that you would not necessarily see otherwise, and giving you access to great amount of information and great networking opportunities. So it's been great to be a part of that alliance. And I guess what has happened over the years is that with us building strong relationships and partnerships with the clients from the RFID technology sector, the most important part for me personally has been seeing those clients succeed, bringing the right people on board, and seeing them developing their careers, developing themselves personally and professionally, really scaling up the business, whether they work in sales or professional services or marketing, HR, or customer success areas, and really enable those clients to scale up their businesses and grow further. Because for us, success is not really defined by placements, but actually defined by the success of our customers and clients. So, if our customers are successful, then so are we.
Brilliant, thank you. So it sounds like you've both got vast experience and vast networks in the RFID space. So I'm interested to hear, what trends and developments have you both observed recently?
Well, at the last RFID Journal live show, there was a lot of talk, and I would say a lot of fear about some of the AI technology coming out and just what was really changing in the industry. And I thought actually it was a really opportunity for our industry, because something that we've always been doing in the past is producing a lot of data with RFID technology and the sensors or any of the wireless technology. But one of the hurt and pain points of that was the customers were having trouble deciphering if the data was real, how much should they use, how to really apply the analytics to it. And so I think some of this new technology with the AI that some people are a little bit afraid of are actually going to help us in the industry and being able to apply that to RFID and other technologies that are, coming together. I also saw a lot of consolidation coming in the industry. And I think that's going to help us too, because hopefully as some companies combine, they also look at how do we work together in a more healthy ecosystem. And I really was curious when I was hearing Daria's background. I was surprised when you said you were relatively new in the industry compared to someone that's been there for 20 years. And I love that you have kind of a fresh perspective. I mean, relatively so that, you can come and see some of the hypes that have come on and see it a little bit more from a relatively new position, where I've been in the industry and I've seen the hypes with Walmart, and then they go down, and see them come back again and come down. And so I might have gotten a little bit more callous to some of the new trends. And it's exciting to hear perspectives from different people in the industry on what they see and really the real true messages that they're hearing and listening to.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kelly. I was just thinking about Walmart as you said that, but we're looking at that from a different perspective. I've heard of those stories back in the day with them starting RFID many, many years ago. So I have never experienced it, but I've heard of that information. But you actually lived it. You've been there all along. So with me being a fairly newcomer, just 8 years behind my back, what I would say is consistently have heard that RFID technology is not a standalone technology. It's not the one that is meant to be used just as a one quick fix without anything else. And I think in the recent years, especially with COVID, almost acting as accelerator in some sense as well, in terms of the adoption and the wider implementations, and lots of companies across different verticals to actually understanding, yes, the benefits are out there. You don't need to sell it to me. I'll go for it. There's definitely been a trend with using other technologies, complementary technologies. And on that RFID Live Journal as well, where I saw you, Kelly, a couple of months ago, I've also heard some people about talking AI, machine learning, and how it can actually complement. So it doesn't need to be scary just because you don't know enough about it, or maybe your business is not using those solutions, does not mean it has to be something, it has to mean something bad. So, and I think this is a new progression for the RFID sector on a whole, because say, for example, if there is RFID Live Journal next year where there will be more conversations and maybe more companies showcasing how that technology can work with others and provide a wider benefit, the digital twinning that we've been talking about for quite a few years and all of those things, I think it can long-term benefit all of the customers and all of the companies out there.
So you've both touched on an emergence of new technologies and the adoption of AI and machine learning, to name a couple. With all these technical innovations in the market, Daria, do you think that the skills are there in the candidate market to back it up?
I would say the skills are definitely there, but one thing that I experienced over the recent years is that the core expertise within the market definitely needs a fresh wave of people coming through. And I don't necessarily mean salespeople as such, because very often in those positions, they don't need a depth of technical understanding, engineering understanding, or whatever that happens to be, But I'm talking about some other areas, whether it's professional services or more on the technical engineering side, or maybe on the product side, because building product teams seems to be one of the top things on the agenda for many businesses out there. So we definitely need a lot more of younger people coming through into the industry. So then as we go along, we have people to take over, across lots of different functions and lots of different divisions, to be able to continue to provide a skill set globally to the companies that want to use the technology.
Okay. And what do these innovations and AI, things like that, what do they mean for the marketing side of things, Kelly?
I was really excited about what Daria was saying about bringing, new people in, looking at things from new experiences. And I think that's really what we're all going after, is looking at things from fresh perspectives. I recently have encountered several people that talk about, we want to do a new marketing campaign, but we're going to wait until our sales, gets to a certain level, and then we'll want to bring you in. And I keep thinking to myself, okay, if you keep doing everything the same and you don't have any new perspectives, nothing's going to change.
Mhm.
And so it goes as well from the people you bring in, and also some of the processes and strategies that you're doing as a company. If you're only focused internally and you're having the same people come up with the same messaging and marketing, you might be missing on those new perspectives and being able to really do things differently to get some bigger, better results.
Mhm.
It sounds like with a lot of the changes that are going on at the moment and with some of the trends we touched upon, it's a very exciting time in the RFID market. But I'm just wondering how it all ties in with kind of the wider economic outlook. There are some feelings of uncertainty in the market, across all markets right now. So how does that tie in with the exciting changes we're seeing?
Well, the current economic situation, to answer your question, Zanaba, absolutely poses certain challenges out there. We're definitely seeing an impact on a number of projects that were supposed to be, starting across the period of the summer. There's definitely a slowdown out there, but I wouldn't necessarily have a pessimistic outlook on the things, and so do companies that also I work with. They're going through a bit of a pause at the moment, kind of reconsolidating, pulling all of their resources in to make sure that they are absolutely ready to continue once the business is looking up from the better perspective. And at the same time, and that's one of the things I always encourage people to be ready on, continue your sales activities, because if you're not prospecting, if you're not doing the demand generation, the lead generation, and continue to speak to those people, whether they are buying right now or not, then you will simply not be ready, and somebody else is going to come in and have that work. So it's exciting time because the technology has got so much scope, and there are so much opportunities out there to couple it with so many other things, as we have discussed. And I think in the next 6 months, we definitely would see a bit of a turn, more projects coming through, people just generally being a little bit more optimistic and actually willing to invest in the technology and kind of turning the corner, so to speak. So we would expect that to come through in the next approximately 6 months.
Okay. Kelly, obviously with all your experience in the market, your years of experience, you've probably seen peaks and troughs and highs and lows and everything. So I'm interested to hear from your perspective and your experience, what do you think RFID businesses should be doing right now in times of economic uncertainty?
Well, I would echo everything Daria is saying. The sales cycle is very long, as we all know. And what some firms do is, let me look short term and just, cut and save money. And then they end up having to play catch up in the long term. And I don't think it pays off for them. I would really encourage firms at this time to really look at their strategy. Take a pause to say, hey, what has caused us to have our best customer wins, and really go after that. Put together, we offer a start right, finish well strategy session where we look at who are the best customers, what are the markets we want to go after, what sets us apart, what do we maybe need to do to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. It's a great time to sit there and look at that. It's also a great time to do some kind of auditing of what we've been doing. I think you start to have a little bit of breathing time to go back and to say, what have we done marketing wise that have been successful? Do we need to put some measurements in place? And really start to look at effectiveness. We do a digital marketing audit for companies, and it really gives them a perspective of what they're doing versus industry best practices and where they might be measuring up versus their competitors. And so this would be the time to spend some of that investing in the future and where they want to be versus the short-term thinking right now of how can I just, save money.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It gives you a unique opportunity, Zanaba, to be prepared, to get all of your ducks in a row and be ready with your teams to execute. Yeah.
And would your advice from a talent acquisition and a structuring of organizational hierarchies, would that be similar, Daria, shifting from short-term to long-term mindset and focusing on strategy? What would your
Absolutely.
advice? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think it would be silly not to do it otherwise, because like I said, it's a very competitive market. Kelly knows it very well as well. Whether you are a software provider or hardware services or a mix of all of the above or a consulting, there's plenty of competition out there. We see a lot of competition specifically coming from the Asian market over the past years, So there are some formidable players out there, do you know what I mean? So you really have to get your strategy right at this point, and then to have ability to execute the tactical moves, So getting all of your teams ready, and very, very important to make sure that you've got your professional services, your implementation teams ready as well, because as you start getting projects through and your sale through, you cannot just sit and tell your client, I'm sorry, I don't have enough people to staff your project and to send on site. That's just not how it works in 21st century. You have to learn how to be one step ahead of the game. And what does get you there? Proper planning, proper preparations, and then you can go and execute to the best of your ability and give your business the best chance to succeed out there.
I guess some businesses might be a little bit apprehensive right now because in times of uncertainty, obviously everything you're saying about thinking strategically, shifting to the long-term perspective makes a lot of sense. But if people are feeling a bit apprehensive and they're a bit unsure of how they should be investing their money right now, what's your key piece of advice to them? And if we start with Kelly first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things I love about marketing is that you can try things and test certain campaigns and ideas out there without a huge commitment. And so I would encourage people to go ahead, let's take a refresh and look at what we want to do differently to get different results and try something. And of course, if it's not yielding, then it's easy to turn that off and pivot to something else. And that's what I love, that nobody dies from something that goes wrong in marketing campaigns. So I would encourage them to go ahead and take this time and go after some of the visions that maybe they've been too busy to do in the past, and go ahead and make those steps forward.
That's a very good advice. Absolutely. I can just pretty much echo that. And I think it's just important in all of that, Zanaba, in all of that apprehension that maybe certain companies would have, especially the leaders, trying to watch the cash flow and all of that, what's coming in, what's going out, being a little bit tight on that side of things. Just remember that it's not just about what's happening today or tomorrow. There is a bigger picture to it. You know what I mean? So regardless of the size of the company, whether it's a 10-man business or whether you have, 50, 200, 500 people in, it's just very important to think more long term and being able to plan accordingly. It doesn't mean that you have to start hiring crazy because you expect the number of projects to double in the next 6 months, but it's just putting a right plan which will be appropriate for your business to be able to execute that later on. How much business do we forecast? What teams do I need to have? How many people I need to be able to do all of those things? It doesn't necessarily mean huge investments or a big, investment to start with.
And I suppose, aside from implementation and focusing on being able to deliver the projects that you're trying to sell at the moment, is there any other areas in terms of headcount and team structures that you might advise investment in during times like these?
I would be thinking about 2 areas. One is the product development, product management, and one is a customer success. I've seen some trends of that already across lots of different verticals. So I would say that those areas would, especially for the mid-sized companies and definitely bigger companies out there, is definitely worthwhile to look at. And again, it doesn't mean that you need to start hiring 5, 10 people into one of those teams straight away, but looking into how that could potentially fit your business plan, how that could fit your mission, vision, the next couple of years, what you want to achieve, the key milestones that you would like to hit, and then work out your plan from there.
Mm-hmm.
I know personally, I'll chip in. I'm always interviewing people because it always seems to be that when I do find someone that amazes me with what they can do and what they bring to the table, all of a sudden that opportunity arises within my company to say, hey, this person would be perfect for that. And so it's always good to keep my eyes open. And as you know, like the hiring cycle can be a long time as well as the sales cycle. So having those always going on in parallel is really key. And it's better to be ahead of that, as you know, you've said before, than all of a sudden you have the need and then you have to spend months trying to get the right person. So I see it for myself in my own company, that the need for that to continue to go on.
Mm-hmm. Preparation is key, and forward planning, it sounds like. So, I mean, you've both clearly got a lot of passion and a lot of interest in this market. And I guess just to shift slightly, I'm intrigued to learn kind of what's your favorite thing about working in the RFID market?
I'll let Kelly go first. She's more senior than me.
Well, this has been true since the very start. When I started at Texas Instruments, I was given this role of starting up an e-store back in the day when nobody sold over the internet. I know it's a long time ago. But the idea was that they knew that if they could make the technology very accessible and easy for the customer to buy, they would be in their garage doing something that we have never heard of to use for that technology. And that is truth about this industry. I am always amazed at what the innovations are. And I love that. That's what inspires me, is to learn about what people are doing with this technology, how they're helping others. It's just fun. It's always changing. It's exciting. And I think we're still on the cusp of learning more and more about what it can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From my perspective, I would say probably the people side of it, Zanaba. I always loved working with people long before I came to recruitment. I enjoy working with people across the globe. I used to live in lots of different locations globally previously. I really enjoy that human, element in that. So my favorite part is speaking to people across the globe from different walks of life every single day, always looking to learn something new. I'm a true believer that we never stop learning, and there's always something to pick up, and also looking to add the value. How can I, with my knowledge, with my understanding of the market, what can I help you with? And it doesn't necessarily mean hiring here and there, but sometimes just exchanging the intel on what's going on in a specific area could be very, very valuable. And I know for sure over the years, it has helped many decision makers out there to make certain plans within their businesses, and something that they find very helpful and valuable. And for me, I guess that's a part of my little success story. I love helping people, whether it is, putting somebody in a new role where they're super excited to get involved in, or whether it's speaking to the CEO and actually exchanging information and helping them to shape up their plan going forward.
That's the truth about Daria. She and I became friends, I would say, 6+ years ago. And she has always been that helpful, willing to help, even though I've never hired anybody from her, because different set. But it was just one of those synergies I see you bring, is that connection with people. And so good. I love that your answer is that.
And then lastly, I'm just wondering if you've got any advice for people that are maybe starting out their careers in RFID in the space. What would your advice be to them as two fairly established players in the market at this point?
Well, I would definitely go in and encourage them and say there is absolutely nothing to be afraid, and they should really give this a proper go, before making a decision whether this is for me or not. Do you know sometimes how certain people can quickly go off something? They really need to give it enough space and time to really understand what the technology is all about, how it can help, especially while using some other technologies, as we spoken earlier in the conversations, not just RFID itself, but what can I use that as a part of the wider IoT, Internet of Things, how can it benefit my business and my customers? Because there's certainly a lot of the value out there for it and lots of benefits. So seeing them is a big part of that journey. So my ultimate advice would be to carrying on, find out enough about it, and give it a proper go, because we definitely need more of a fresh talent coming through all areas of the business. Like I said, it's about professional services, also marketing. It could be HR, definitely on the product side, and definitely on the technical software, hardware engineering side as well.
And I want to follow that up. I have a lot of younger students that I sometimes mentor, and they ask me, well, is marketing still a good career to go in? And I say yes, as long as you do look at some of this technology slant. I saw at a recent university here, they put into a retail analytics in their marketing department, where they're really looking at marketing and measuring those metrics and analytics and using technology like RFID to do that. I think that is where I would really encourage people to go into, because it's a real specialty. It still cannot be copied or automatically generated by some AI. It takes still a lot of personable analytics, and there's such a need for that coming out. So yes, I would really encourage people to get into the industry. I like you, Daria, I think the people in this industry are very welcoming, and they do like fresh perspectives. And, I could see anyone reaching out through LinkedIn and being able to make mentorships, connections. It is a really great industry with some great people.
Brilliant. And how can people get in touch if they're looking for advice from either of you on the talent acquisition side, Daria, or on the marketing side, Kelly?
Well, of course, you could go to my website, fordvision.net, or on LinkedIn. I'm very active as well. And my name's Kelly Stark, and our Ford Vision is in there. And we find that to be a really good, I would say social selling tool, where a lot of the industry people are more on that type of tool versus the Instagram, Facebooks, Twitter of the world. So that's a really good platform. I know a lot of the younger people are on different platforms, and I enjoy that, for private. But I really would encourage everyone to start engaging, start connecting with people, and it's a great way to get to know more in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. To get in touch with me, again, we've got our website, www.gillespiemeadows.com, and as somebody that works in an executive search firm, I'm super active on the LinkedIn. We are there pretty much 24/7. So getting in touch through sending a message, we'll be happy to connect and really to speak to people, and maybe even put them in touch with some other people who have fairly recently joined the industry. I'll be more than happy to do that as well, because sometimes it takes a couple of conversations, or maybe somebody who are actually working in the industry themselves, to chat to them and to kind of put your mind straight in terms of, okay, yeah, I'll be willing to give it a go. And that has been helpful for me to make up my own mind.
Thank you very much, the two of you.
Thank you, Zanaba.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.